Greetings. My name is Michael Fluke, and you're watching the Philo Republic podcast. And in this episode, I'm going to discuss the rise of Filipina online dating scams and how to avoid them and how to find actual help in the Philippines that can, make sure that your lady is who she says she is. So whether that be a background check or knocking on her door to deliver a parcel just to see if she's married already or not, stuff like that. So yeah, stay tuned. This could be the most important video that I ever make. All right, so I'm sure you're well aware that this podcast is for, people looking to come to the Philippines for an extended period of time, whether that's for retirement or passport bros coming here looking to settle down, get a second lease on life, find a wife, have some kids, start a family, and, maybe digital nomads as well who might want to play the field and get into the dating game and just want to have a little bit of foresight before they do so. So the original vision of this podcast is to have a dating discussion panel format that I'd plan to import, from Fresh and Fit and whatever podcasts. Those two podcasts do a really good job at identifying the problem with dating in the West. And then I think that if I did one exclusively with Filipinas on Philippine soil, that would be very valuable to some people who are looking at considering settling down here, where the cost of living is, lower and the ladies are more traditional. So if you think that would bring you value, I would like to get started on that as soon as possible. I've already built a studio in my house. I've already bought all the gear. I've got all the microphones and the cameras and all the stuff that I need. I just need one more piece of equipment now. I need to get a YOLO box. It allows me to bond multiple internet connections because the internet is not reliable here in the Philippines, and I want to stream reliably. And then our live streams will be 3 hours a pop, 3 days a week, 4 to 5 ladies, and you can engage live with them on the show, just like you would with Fresh or Fit or whatever podcast. And then for those that hate Fresh and Fit and whatever, or, one or the other, I also am not a fan of Myron's freakouts and, just the general negative vibe that they have. I highly respect what they've done massively, but we're different people and I have a different approach. So, no mahogany, if that's what you're worried about. This isn't going to be like, yeah, it'll probably be red pilled. I mean, feminism is also a problem in this country. It's growing, and I do want to combat that somewhat, but Filipinas are just nice. They're really, really nice, and they're quite shy, which is another reason why I need donations, is because I need to pay these ladies to come on, to miss a day of work and to come on the show and get over being shy. And, in my opinion, the most beautifully attractive ladies are shy, so if you want to be able to identify patterns over many, many episodes, of this discussion panel format that I'd like to bring in, then consider supporting the channel. Hit like on the video. And yeah, I'm sure I can gaslight you into leaving a comment. So that would really help the algorithm as well. Let's get right into it now. I just got to rearrange my windows here and hit the button. There you go. So this article was published on February 13th this year. There's an alarming rise in love scams. Filipino profiles jumped 450% in just 1 year. There's I'm just cherry picking, but one guy, just one. Yeah. And this one's from 2023, so whatever. But this is just another example. A guy lost 100,000 pesos to a love scam. Now, I think in 50s. So 50 pesos is $1. 50,000 pesos is $1,000. So 100,000 would be $2,000 US. So, that's how you can kind of decipher the value of money. The authorities, this one is from this year as well in February. February is their busiest month, I'm sure. And they've made big arrests recently. They did 400 people in this call center, and then they did another 167 and 2 Chinese nationals in a love scam hub that was using AI. So these guys were, I'll get into the differences in a moment. But this one actually in particular, it involved crypto. So if you get a lady that starts talking like a crypto bro, and she tries to get you, like lure you in, build your trust and gets you into that too. And like, oh yeah, this is how I make money. Huge red flag. never send crypto to a lady abroad. That's for certain. And, be very careful with your money because you might end up like this guy. So this gentleman came here for a Filipina that he met online, and he was scammed by her to the tune of 5 million pesos. So 1 million pesos is about $20,000 US. So he got scammed for $100,000 US, and he's currently suffering from colon cancer. So in order to get back to his country and sustain himself, he sells munchkins at an overpass. Despite the situation he faces right now, he has a heartfelt smile. That is a broken man. And if you don't want to be this man selling munchkins for 10 pesos each, then continue to follow along with this video. All right, so it's become such a problem that the Australian and Philippines authorities are tag teaming the issue, and they're trying to put an end to it. But really, I mean, if people were more street smart, and they knew what to look for, and that's why this video is so great. This is going to be one of the most thorough videos I've ever made, and it's also hopefully going to be one of my shorter ones because I put everything into a downloadable document that you can just download and then read in your own time while you're sitting on the toilet or something. But yeah, the key issue here that kind of alarms me a little bit, I dabble in the crypto. And if guys don't smarten up, we might lose our ability to use it in this country. They have the coins.ph app. It's a decent exchange. I mean, it's not the best one, but it is pretty good. And they've actually got some pretty cool fintech in the Philippines, I got to say. They're pretty advanced in the fintech area. And if these things keep happening and men keep falling for crypto scams due to these love scams, the government, the Senate says that they're going to reassess the use of cryptocurrencies in the country. So, So, and that was a big component of this one. So, yeah. And then there's a whole cottage industry being built around it because it's such a huge problem. This is a website from the UK, and it's called actionfraud.org.uk. And they have a whole part of their site designated just for this problem. So it is real. And I know that guys all around the world, they think I'd know if I was being scammed, or I'd never be dumb enough to, yeah. You got to remember that these people, ladies know men. Ladies know you very well. They know how to get what they want. They know how to dangle the right carrot. They know how to do it. It can happen to anybody. You're not stupid if you get scammed, but you're just uneducated and uninformed. So let's inoculate you now, shall we? So this document here, I broke down every single possible, angle, approach, and solution that I could find to address this problem. And it can be yours. There's a link in the description. Just download it, pick it up. And it's going to lead you to a Google Doc, which will be live all the time. So if I make any changes to it, you'll be able to get those changes as well. So I'm going to speed run through it though, because you can just download it and I don't want to bore you. But first off, I cover the 5-stage workflow of a modern dating scam: the hook, the groom, the wallet opener, and the escalation, and then the exit and pivot. The exit and pivot is sometimes the most devastating part of the scam, because in the end, they'll either ghost you and break your heart when the money dries up, or they'll up the stakes and destroy you and your reputation. If, through sextortion, if you've ever sent them anything dirty with your face in it, or an identifiable, birthmark or tattoo or anything like that, or you've added a girl on a Facebook account where your mom or your boss or your wife is in your friends list, she can take those photos and she can send them around. And I mean, even if they're not photos of you, if it's just a dick pic from another guy she's talking to, some other John, it doesn't matter, because she can still ruin your reputation with that. So it doesn't even have to be you, So my advice right off the top would be to create, because within Facebook on the top right, there's a drop-down menu where you can create an additional profile under your existing account. And then, you can build that up and you can keep your friends and family and or wife, I really hope you're not doing that, off of, so that way there's no connection to you. And then you can also lock down your friends list so she can't contact all your other friends or get jealous. If you're talking to more than one lady at once. I really do recommend don't pre-plan. Like I know men are very logical and they think, okay, I'll go to the Philippines next year, but in the meantime, I may as well set something up. Only do that if they're just a toy. I don't mean to sound awful, but like only do that if you just want to bang. You know, you're looking for a good time pal, you know? Only do it in those situations. Don't look for love. Don't even have your heart open if you're looking for girls online that you've never met and you've never stepped foot in the Philippines, because there are ways and they're all in here. And yeah, so create a new profile under your existing Facebook account. Make sure that there's no one linked to it that they can use to sextort you, and never send a dick pic with your face in it, just as an added precaution. You know, and then another note on AI generated images. I mean, I know that like, I think this week, actually, Google released their latest. It's getting really hard now to tell the difference. I mean, some people still can. I'm not saying it's impossible. Some people just have an instinct about what image would be AI and what is not. However, it's getting better every day. But a call center, you know, of like 400 Filipina ladies that work there, or Filipinos that work there claiming that they're a woman and they use AI filters to make themselves look like a girl. You know, they're going to probably be more likely, like the real professionals are going to be the ones that are using AI images, like, you know, in the video, like AI generated video and stuff like that. They're going to be the ones using that because the people that work there probably don't want to give up their real identity for a business that they, you know, and a lot of the people that work in those things are actually extorted to work there. So they're also victims, the people actually working there. So keep that in mind. If you detect AI, you're probably working, or you're probably talking to like a consummate professional scammer. So avoid that at all costs. But on the flip side, now I already told you about the podcast idea. I'd like to have a discussion panel with 4 to 5 lovely ladies for 3 hours a day, 3 days a week on a live stream that you can interact with them. And if you think that's a good idea, I'm getting that pitch down, man. I'm getting that pitch solid. But anyway, grift. Yeah, I was saying, yeah, okay. So I did a lot of casting. I've also, like, in addition to building a studio already in my house, and in addition to buying all the gear, and I'm ready to go just about, I've also done casting of about 400 ladies, and I've added about 400 ladies on a Facebook profile that I manage. And I got to tell you, that opened me up to every single crocodile tear, every single scenario on the, like, this document just scratches the surface on some of the, you know, the emotional strings that were being, you know, pulled on me when I was talking to these girls. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, the document would be a full book, and maybe I'll write a book one day. I probably actually will. I'm working on one. I've already been a best-selling author once for a book called Digital Nomad Escape Plan. And I think I'm going to repurpose it. Don't buy it now. It's still on there, but don't buy it now. It's outdated and it's no good. I'm actually going to repurpose it and make a new version for this one, File a Republic. But yeah, so I've heard it all. I've heard it all, and then some. So that's why this document is really relevant, because these girls are not using AI images. They are real girls. They're freelancers in essence. And a lot of the girls that I talk to for the podcast, they're gorgeous. They've got a few guys probably on the go in the West. They have nice photos of nice locations, you know, by the side of the pool and whatever. And, you know, you got to be wary of that, because there's no AI. They're legit. They're sweet, you know, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, they're probably talking to a lot of different guys. Now, also worth mentioning, during my degenerate era, as the ladies like to say, before I started a family, you know, before I settled down, I was a complete and total degenerate for a couple of years. And, you know, I played the field quite a bit, and I had a lot of short-term relationships with ladies that I would, you know, like a lot of them, they would be courting, you know, 5 or 6 guys in the West. And it was a joke. You know, it was a joke to me. It was a joke to them. She would make jokes at their expense. And, you know, after just getting totally taken apart in a hotel room by me, you know, she'd clean herself up, and then she'd be like, okay, I have to do a call now. And she'd be on the phone for an hour or two, having a video call with John Doe in Wisconsin. So having a long distance relationship with a girl that you actually want to fall in love with, you actually, like, your heart is open to that. You are setting yourself up, because there's guys like me around, you know. And then the other problem is too, that if you come out here and you still plan to leave the Philippines, you know, and only live in the Philippines part-time, half a year, you know, 6 months in your home country earning money, and then in 6 months in the Philippines, and you think that you can trust your wife, if you're paranoid and you're like being a big overbearing paranoid man, she's going to cheat on you. And if you're not paranoid, she's going to cheat on you. I mean, again, it's not in every situation, but again, you know, during my degenerate years, I would find out in these cases where they were already married. Sometimes the guy's younger than me. I would find out after the fact. Like I would think, oh, okay, they're just going to have a call with some John that, you know, they've never met and they're just milking him and whatever, man. Dudes, you're on your own, you know, you're on your own, you know. But when they're married and they don't tell people like me that, then now I'm committing a sin and it's bad, and it just makes everything so much worse. But again, that happens. So my advice to you is, if you're going to come to the Philippines, stay in the Philippines. If you're going to come to the Philippines for a lady and want to find a wife and settle down, stay in the Philippines. Because if you take her to the West, it'll be 3 months. Like, it's basically like the movie Gremlins. You get them a little wet and then they turn into this gremlin. You take them to America, you know, or let's say you date an English major here in the Philippines. So she's fluent in English, like completely, and she consumes, you know, Western content, you know, like blogs and social media and stuff like that. Like through osmosis, whether or not you take her into America, or, you know, she's just an English major and she consumes Western media, through osmosis, she's going to become the type of lady that was the reason why you left in the first place. So if you come to the Philippines for a wife, stay in the Philippines. Don't leave her side. And I know a lot of guys will be like, oh, you can't trust a girl, eh? You're insecure. No, man, because these girls are being heavily sought over by guys just like you. And they're sliding into the DMs. And one of the little wallet opener tricks that they do, actually, too, if they're trying to get money out of you, you know, they'll say, you know, like, I really have this problem. I need this money for this thing. And this other guy, you know, and maybe they'll even point out his name, and you can look at her friends list and see that this guy's like an alpha stud. And he's like, you know, like, he wanted to help me out, but I said no because I know that it would make you jealous. Yeah. So then your ego is going to kick in. Your jealousy is going to kick in, and your desire as a male to provide is going to kick in. And girls know how to leverage your feelings. So again, just flogging, you know, the dead horse one final time. Don't look for a girl online. There. You know, find them in person. It's really easy, because then you actually get to see how they operate in person. Anyway, so some of the wallet openers that they'll use, you know, I'm just going to skim through these real quick. Their phone is broken, or they're borrowing one, or their phone doesn't take good pictures and the battery dies a lot. This one is important, and I'm bringing it up intentionally because if they don't always have a phone on them, or their battery dies a lot, yeah, hi, it's because they're banging guys like me and they can't pick up the phone whenever you call. You know, or their camera's not so good, you know, so you can't tell that they're actually trans. Did you know that the Philippines now has more trans people than Thailand? So now these factors, well, I mean, you're damned either way if you meet a girl online and that comes out of her mouth first up, because you want her to be able to take clear photos, because you want to make sure that you're not wasting your time, unless you're into that sort of thing. You know, and you want to make sure that, you know, you can call her randomly once in a while and see what she's up to, because, you know, that's a lot of trust, and you're probably investing your heart and your wallet into this girl, and you want to make sure that your investment is not, you know, like, you're not being manipulated. So it makes sense to want to randomly call once in a while. But if they're borrowing a phone, you know, or they're just hiding their face, they're using it as an excuse to hide their face altogether. You know, maybe it's because they haven't figured out what you like yet, so they haven't created the perfect AI generated image yet. So there's just a lot of, you know, it's just like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you buy them a phone, you're a simp, you know, especially if it's for the camera, then you're going to end up getting them an iPhone or a top of the line Samsung, you know, and then you're simping. But then if you don't get them the phone, then she's going to get one from someone. So, you know, other wallet openers, you know, and again, the pattern here is that they're trying to train you. You know, you open your wallet for this little thing, then this next little thing, and so on and so forth. And then eventually you've opened your wallet 5 times, you've spent about $1,000, and now you're getting into the sunk cost fallacy where I've already put in $1,000. I just want to see this thing through. I know I'm seeing red flags. but I don't want to have all that money and time be wasted, so I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Family events and funerals. She brings up another man's generosity, as I've already mentioned. She'll bring up a natural disaster, which, is definitely possible because the soil here is not like it is in the West. It's like it just falls apart in water, and we get a lot of rain because it's islands. We get a lot of water, so things fall down easily. The school graduation fees, that's AI generated, that one. I mean, sure, I guess that's an excuse. She'll give you a crypto tutorial. Don't date a crypto bro. A parcel custom scam. This one's new to me. She'll say, yeah, I mailed you some gifts, but the customs broker needs me to pay clearance fees, and I don't have the money for it. So she'll either get you to send her the money, and then she'll supposedly pay it, or she'll get a friend, like an accomplice, and you'll pay that person. If you are going to give her money for like a hospital bill, pay it directly to the hospital bill, like to the hospital. If you have to pay money to anything, don't filter it through her. Don't funnel it through her. Put it directly to the business. Makes sense, right? Fake NGO work, like her church needs donations. You got to look out for deep fake video calls. I've already covered that. Or there's like a travel holdup. She's stuck at the airport because she doesn't have enough money to pay an exit fee. They actually do have exit fees for Philippine citizens. If you want to leave the country, I think it goes to the airport or something. And their airports are terrible anyway, especially the one in Manila is brutal. If you ever fly into Manila, come into the country through Clark Airport. Just take my word on that one. Go through Clark. Don't go through the NAIA airport. Don't do that one. And then the last one is the hospital deposit rule. They'll often use this one because they have a health problem. Health problems usually have a sense of urgency. And then to put the icing on the cake, some hospitals will require that they do cash up front before they get any treatment because, hospitals get scammed a lot too, and they want to make sure that they're not going to get scammed. So now you've got this urgent situation, you're not heartless, are you? So, yeah. And then there's the psychological levers that they rely on. I mean, I'm not going to get into all of these. But yeah, flirting with other generous suitors that are also attractive usually, because you got to remember these girls are getting hit hard by guys just like you remotely, on Facebook and stuff. And then there's the super reinforcement loop where they alternate affection in mini crises to accelerate the bonding, and then I've pretty much covered all that. Then I've got a whole list of things that you can do to verify, and get counterintelligence on the lady, ways to test to ensure that they are who they say they are, but I'll just keep going, and you can download the document with the link in the description for that one. Then there's payment channels and red flag patterns that I mentioned. I mean, crypto always is. And then there's like the current landscape in the Philippines, more articles that you can read. And then there's a note on sextortion where I've already mentioned, like, don't include your face in a dick pic. If you get hooked, I guess hooked and cooked, hooked, crooked, and cooked, then, here's how you can quickly try to alleviate the situation. And then there's resources and further reading. But then I decided to look at a whole bunch of questions that they ask. So I compiled a list of questions that I get asked. And, like Asian ladies in general are very direct when they ask questions. They'll ask you about your income, and it's not abnormal. Whereas we would think it's a little rude in our country, right? Especially with white, like Western girls. Cause but with Filipinas, it just seems more playful. But anyway, if she's asking you about your money, red flag, next, like just walk away. Why are you still single? You see, this seems like a harmless question, right? But it tests your self-esteem and your vulnerability. You're an easier target if you feel lonely or unwanted. So why are you still single? The answer that you give to that question is going to tell her a lot about your whole psychological profile. And all of these questions do. Would you like to have a Filipina girlfriend? This frames the conversation around ethnicity to exploit common foreign fantasies about Southeast Asian women. It's kind of true. Do you want to do a video call later? So this tests whether or not you'll show your face and opens the door to potential sextortion or identity manipulation later on. And then there's the financial profiling. And then, the real big one, you always got to understand when you're being had. So these questions go into like more detail about the crises setup phase, the wallet openers, and then, the escalations, and then questions surrounding psychological pressure guilt traps and isolation. I knew you were different from other men. That's a guilt manipulation. The dark arts. My last foreign boyfriend used me. I hope you're not like him. Creates pressure to prove yourself. It's pretty damn smart. I don't even think that they're conscious of how smart that is. It shifts the burden of trust onto you, which is very true. So don't you trust me? That's a trap. If you say no, she accuses you of being insecure or toxic. If yes, then she gets you to open the wallet. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But now here's the real solid reason why this episode is important and why you should just download this thing. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I collect your email. And I might send you a notification if I'm going to do a live stream, or I might send you an email if a really important video came out, or there's some crazy thing in the Philippines going on that I just thought you should know urgently, but I'm not going to sell it and I'm not going to spam you. So relax. I'm just doing it because I don't get that information from YouTube, right? So if I ever lost my YouTube channel, I already have once. So it's just a way we can keep in touch. But anyway, so, what you can ask a local fixer to do. So a fixer is not someone shady. It doesn't mean that they're breaking the law. It can often be a local tricycle driver, a barangay worker, a teacher, a pastor, a courier, or even an expat with local connections. I mean, heck, if you found a girl where I am, and I would only disclose that to members like in the community, I would never, I'm not going to say it in a video, and I'm not going to say it in the comments, but if you're in the members only community, then yeah, I mean, hit me up, message me. And if they're in my region, then I can look into things for you to the best of my ability. It's no skin off my back. This podcast is going to be my life. It's going to be my career. So, and I won't charge you anything. Just be a member. I think it's like $5 or no, it's $7 a month for now. I'm going to make it that price just because I'm pretty much, once I get that dating thing going, that discussion panel thing, I'm going to be the only act in town. And then, so here's what people can verify for you. Their real identity. They can ensure that their identity and their address match. Does this girl actually live here? Show them her ID or location screenshot. Photos match reality. Is she as described? Some fixers can quietly take a photo from outside discreetly. It's not illegal. Parents or relatives exist and live nearby. If she says her nene is dying, is there really a nene in that house? Living conditions. If she says she's poor or homeless, does that check out? Or is she in a decent gated subdivision with a motorcycle that was probably paid for by another, American or European or Australian or New Zealander phone ownership. Have them call or message her number. Is it a burner phone? Is the name registered? And then barangay records. Some barangay offices keep info about disputes, police blotters, and prior complaints. So if you find out where she lives, then just do a search for the barangay office, give them a call. Just be like, I'm thinking of marrying this girl. I'd like to just kind of make sure that she's not bad, And, to be honest with you, I kind of think any lady might understand that, if they genuinely like you, and they're actually building a real relationship with you, I don't see why that would be an issue. You're you're giving them a lot of trust. So why not? And then tips for hiring a fixer or an investigator: how to define your needs, how to budget, how much you should expect to pay, how to verify credentials, maintain communication, how much will it cost? I get into that here. It starts at you could do it for as low as $25 in a rural area, and then it goes up to $50 in the city, starting. But if it's a tricycle driver, you could just contact a barangay. A barangay is like a barrio, in Mexico. It's just it's like a little office with elders and stuff, and they help solve little disputes in your area. Or if someone from another barangay has a problem with you and you owe them money, they can go to your barangay office. And, if you have an argument with your wife or your girlfriend, in the heat of the moment, the barangay is so close that she can put her slippers on and then walk over to the barangay and then get you kicked out of your own house. Barangays are useful, But yeah, you contact the barangay. They are your friend. I have a good relationship with mine. And you can just be like, hey, is there a tricycle driver that you know of? Can I get them to knock on this door? Maybe they can drop off some flowers for me, so that way you get to do a nice thing. And then they can also, I have to take a photo because it's common here. If I get a parcel delivered from the internet, they have to take a photo of me holding the parcel. So you just get the brain gate driver to take a photo of her holding the parcel. And if it turns out she's a few kilos bigger than you've been led on to believe, then, you know, stuff like that. Or if a man answers the door, a foreign man even, you know, so, and then, you know, a real use case. This was dredged up by AI. I mean, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but it's legit. I mean, it seems legit. She told me that she lived in this particular place. I paid a trike guy 600 pesos, which is really high. I mean, the average trike ride is like 100 pesos max if you're going long distance. Usually it's like 50 pesos. So he paid 600 pesos to swing by her address. He said the house belonged to a married couple in their 50s. There was no sign of her. When I asked her again, she ghosted me. So, yeah, you know, I mean, that's a good use case example in my opinion. And then I list off actual private investigation agencies. They have satellite firms all over the country. Yeah. So, and then there's freelance fixers or journalists. You can contact Paydesk. They do, you know, like they do location verification, interviews, logistics coordination. These are really for Manila and Davao and all that stuff like that, but you can check them out. And then, you know, as time goes on, if I have any new ones that I want to add to the list, I'll add them. So keep the link to this when you get it. And I guess that wraps up this episode. So if you think that having a dating podcast is, you know, with a panel of Filipinas around there is going to create patterns that become visible to you that you can observe over time, and that would help you make decisions for the next phase of your life, consider supporting the channel. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel at the very least and leave a comment if you can. And if you've got an extra little bit of scratch for me to get that last piece of equipment and to pay the ladies to skip a day of work and come on the show, I'd really appreciate it. That way we can get started as soon as possible. Now, I guess it's time to cue the outro. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Michael Fluke, and you've been watching the Philo Republic podcast. I hope you have a wonderful day.